Hey everyone, it's Catherine from the Art&Eats team here, and I'm very excited to bring you today our feature artist. This is Lynsay Allen, and you may have seen some of this incredible artwork on these posters around the place. We've got flyers with two of her beautiful trees on there as well, and we're so pleased to have you as our artist. And so you were telling me the other day, though, that you've actually got a special collection that you're going to be releasing at Art&Eats.
Yeah, so every time I sort of do work, I try to work in series, and then with each series sort of do sort of a little throwback to the old series, but also build on that and sort of move forward with the practice. In general, like in terms of not just the composition of the artworks, but also in terms of the distillation of the feelings of them.
Right.
I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
were you talking about what inspires you to create
the
series?
Yeah.
And what would you say, how do you think that you would say that you work with the inspiration for your work? What usually inspires them?
Well, I mean, it sounds pretty trite, but everything, obviously. But when I think of a series, I try to think of what am I going through at that point of time? What sort of feelings am I processing? What's going on in my life, or my community or the world around me, and how that's impacting the way I view the world or what's going around me, and then how that feeds back into how I view myself and my day-to-day life. So it's a bit of like a macro micro kind of intermeshing of me processing my own inner world, and then that reflected back on and mirrored by what's going on outside of myself.
Totally relate to that and understand that.
Thank you.
And I think that's why we get the impact of your art is so great as well.
Thanks.
And I noticed that last year, one of your biggest paintings was sold.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, that was the first time I'd seen you do a larger piece and use so much impactful colour.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in the buyer's house, and it looks extraordinary.
That's fantastic.
Really
beautiful.
beautiful.
Really pleased.
Yeah. So what kind of style, I suppose, do you think we're going to expect from this new series?
Similar to the last. So, it's kind of like what I would call figurative abstract. And I've been moving sort of more from like really simple black and white, and then into sort of muted watercolors, and then to sort of only justly figurative abstract. And then I'm moving back more into like sort of abstract portraiture with this one. So there's like faces.
Oh, amazing.
Which is great. Yeah, which is nice to sort of move back into.
You have such a wide variety that you produce. I mean, I bought one of your little black and whites.
Yeah.
I love the trees. I don't know if any of you saw, we've had it in the gallery here before.
Yeah,
that beautiful big green tree, and it's got the symbols on it, the moons and the crescents. What was that one about?
That one's a really interesting story, actually. A few years ago, I had a friend who lives out bush in New South Wales, and we were going through sort of similar lifestyle changes at the time. And she's a writer and I'm an artist, so we would sort of chat online and support each other. And she would write things and I would make a picture from it, or I would send her a picture and she would write things about it. So it was just sort of an expression of we were both really individually encapsulated, going through really similar things alone, but then we were sort of doing it together, but on an online space.
And you produced this incredible, beautiful
picture.
It's
just sort of symbolic of the way that different people, and you can feel really isolated and internalized going through life struggles and big changes, but it is when you reach out and you do discuss it with people that you trust, like if you can create that space together, you kind of realize that, you know, it doesn't lessen the difficulty of it, but it is like a shared experience, like almost like a universal experience, being a human.
That's a message for everyone out there as well.
Yeah,
if you are in need of support or you need help, it does pay to reach out.
Yeah, it does.
Find people who can go through these experiences with you and come out with a positive expression of art. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's work as well, like fostering your own internal work, but also making friends and keeping friends and seeking out connection and building connection. You know, that in itself is hard, but then maintaining those connections over distance and over years, it's, you know, I think, and I don't want to generalize, but I think as women especially, we have a real need to do that. You know, in society these days, and I think it's a really important thing to acknowledge when you do have it, and to support each other through it, and to work towards it, and you know, and to foster the importance of that, like building community and building connection, and also acknowledge like how much work it actually is, you know what I mean, like to not just like the time that it takes, but the vulnerability that it takes. And
that's a really good point, because when all of these amazing artists are exhibiting their work in any exhibition, what we don't remember is you've been quite vulnerable.
Absolutely.
You're putting your life's work out on these walls and asking someone to buy it. You know,
it's like you can cut off a piece of yourself. It's like and I guess that when you refer to like the symbols that I have on my artwork, a lot of it is really quite symbolic. Like I'm really into like runes and marks and, you know, standing stones and monoliths and you know, things like that that are like a really solid representation of like a really big idea. Like you could see one mark from the ancient world and it represents like a whole culture, like a whole system of belief, like a whole lot of work, a whole lot of history that's got a people to that point. And yes, I think that's why I really like doing abstract work as well, because it is easier to represent a more complex idea and a more complex emotion that's not like joyful or sad or grief or power. It's sort of all of it, and it's just it's a reflection of like a moment in time and everything that's got you to that moment in time. You know, the people that have been there for you, you know, all the way, you know, from your grandparents onwards that have got you to that moment in time, and then having that as a solid representation so you can share that with the world, and also open a space for people to tell you about like how they got to where they are and what, you know, their existence means to them, you know, because everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And they are all unique, but with, you know, threads of similarity and connection.
I mean, art is incredible that way.
Yeah.
And I think that, I know when I choose a piece for my home or my office, there's something in that artwork which has absolutely spoken to me.
Yeah.
It may not be what your interpretation was.
That's not really what's important to it about me either. Like, I try to make my works vague enough. I don't know. But they are really solid ideas, and they do have a specific meaning, but just to me and just at that point in time. So even I might go back and look at my work at a later date and go, oh, okay, like this, I feel this way about it now, which is
that's what
not
makes
how I
it great
felt when I
artwork.
made it. Oh, thank you. That's so
It's
sweet.
great artwork, I think, because
beautiful.
artwork is involving emotion, and it speaks to someone who chooses it, maybe something completely different. And that's why you should all be there on Thursday, the 13th of March, to come and have a look at all of this incredible art by the Gap Creative, and to appreciate our feature artist, Lynsay Allen. Thank you so much for coming in and
Thank you
spending
for
time
having
with
me.
us.